Today is German Unity Day. 34 years ago, the former German Democratic Republic, communist East Germany, officially joined the West. On the 3rd of October of 1990, the eastern states became part of the Federal Republic and Berlin was reinstated as the capital city. Reunification happened less than a year after the fall of the Berlin Wall in November of 1989. Today, Unity Day is a public holiday here in Germany. But even decades after reunification, Germany remains politically divided. The right-wing populist anti-immigration Alternative for Germany, or AfD, is on the rise, especially in the former East.
35 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall, Germany is lurching towards the right. Especially in what was once communist East Germany, the populist anti-immigration AfD party is on the rise. The AfD promises life and freedom, implying that Germany is not a free country. By positioning itself as an heir to the peaceful revolution of 1989, the AfD angers civil rights activists like Frank Ebert. He was in the vanguard of those who fought for freedom in East Germany back then. As a civil rights activist in the communist dictatorship, he risked a lot to be able to live in a democracy.
What we have here in Germany, in my view, one of the freest societies in the world, is the legacy of the peaceful revolution. Above all, that legacy consists of making it possible for 16 million inhabitants at the time, I believe, to live in freedom.
The peaceful revolution. Hundreds of thousands of citizens of the communist East Germany took to the streets in 1989. The dictatorship had come to its end. Surprisingly, without any violence by the security forces, the Berlin Wall fell. Today, the AfD uses the slogans from back then. But their goal is completely different. They preach nationalism and isolation as opposed to democracy and freedom.
Die AfD bezieht sich auf Slogans, die wir 1989 verwendet haben, die sich da.
The AfD refers to slogans that we used in 1989, which developed across the breadth of the population. And it acts as if we still have to complete this revolution, that we're living in a certain lack of freedom, or on the way to a dictatorship. And that's not the case. And that's why I accuse them of misusing the slogans.
Und das ist meiner Meinung nach nicht der Fall. Und deswegen werfe ich Ihnen es auch vor, dass Sie da den Slogan missbrauchen.
3 decades after reunification, Germany seems to be drifting apart again. Besides the far-right AfD, the newly formed BSW party has achieved significant success in regional elections in the East, with policies that oscillate between socialism and nationalism. But 35 years ago, it was basic human rights that people risked their lives for.
This shouldn't be forgotten. And everyone uses the freedom they have now, but they should consider how they use it. Freedom also has something to do with responsibility.
Frank Ebert knows democracy is hard work. He vows to oppose any renewed division of Germany and stand up for freedom.
NDW political correspondent Hans Brandt joins me in the studio now. Hans, why does the AfD and its messages resonate so much in the east of Germany?
I think the basic feature is that East Germans still today feel somehow left behind, have this feeling that they are second-class citizens, that the government basically ignores them or is not really listening to their issues. And so as a result, this is a feeling that the AfD plays on, trying to kind of give the people the impression that only the AfD is actually the party that is listening to their issues, listening to their concerns. And especially the anti-migrant stand, that is the major platform on which the right-wing populists are basing their policy, that's something that has a very strong echo in Eastern Germany, partly because over almost 50 years of communist East Germany, there were practically no migrants in that country at all. So migrants coming into Germany, also into East Germany, as they came in their hundreds of thousands, especially 10 years ago, and that wave of people coming in 2015 and 2016, that was something completely new to people in Eastern Germany. So they're feeling in a sense of being I guess you could say, overrun of things being done for migrants, according to them, that was not being done for them, help that they were receiving, that migrants were receiving, that people on the ground allegedly are not receiving. All of these kinds of issues lead to the strength of the AfD.
But it's not only in the East that they're on the rise, right?
That is the case, yes. The AfD is at about 17% support across Germany, but one has to say that the East only makes up about 20% of the population, and in that part of Germany, the support at the moment is most recent polls, most recent regional elections, is around 30%. So double that. Across the rest of Germany.
We heard about it briefly in the report, but I do want to dig a little deeper with you. How are Germany's populist parties instrumentalizing the legacy of the peaceful revolution?
The peaceful revolution was a revolution on the streets, one could say. A lot of demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations, tens of thousands of people gathering at the time. And their slogan was, "We are the people, wir sind das Volk." And that is a slogan that the right-wing populists, but also the populists from more the left side, this BSW movement that has just come up, they are saying, well, the people are not being respected. We, these populist party, will respect the will of the people. And at the same time, that revolution was an expression of distrust of authority, of distrust of the Communist Party at the time. And this distrust, this feeling of distrust of authority, is also something that these populists play on and is now directed against the current German government. So they are saying this government too, like the communist government so many years ago, is not playing with open cards, is imposing things from the top and so on. And interestingly, the role Russia plays is also something that plays into this. Former East Germany obviously was a vassal state of the Soviet Union at the time, completely under the control in a sense, but there was a policy of friendship towards Russia. And this policy of friendship, but at the same time the kind of fear of Russia, plays into the hands of populists who now say we have to do everything to appease Russia because it is so dangerous, and so rather abandon Ukraine.
We talk a lot about feelings, but objectively speaking, I want to know from you what differences actually do remain between West and East Germany to this day.
Eastern Germany is less well off than Western Germany. There's people have less wealth there, they own less property there. That is partly a legacy of communist East Germany, the time when it was virtually impossible to accumulate property or accumulate wealth for private people. But it's also got to do with the fact that East Germany was always an agrarian area and still is today very sparsely populated. Industrial centers in Germany were always in the West. So Western Germany is a lot more wealthy. And Eastern Germans are not very well represented at the top of German society in leadership, in politics, or in society, in companies and so on. So there is some difference there. At the same time, huge amounts of money have been pumped into Eastern Germany since unification, billions and billions. And in some sense, Eastern Germany, for instance, in terms of roads, in terms of the renovation of cities and so on, is much better off than Western Germany.
DW political correspondent Hans Brandt, great speaking to you. Thank you for coming in.